Imagine a night when you sit alone in a room that has witnessed your exhaustion far too many times. The light is dim, the sound of the world outside feels distant, and for reasons you can't even explain, everything feels strange. Not chaotic, not painful, just different. As if something inside you has crossed an invisible line and now you look at life with eyes that are no longer the same. You see deeper, clearer, wider than you ever have before. And in that moment, suddenly your job feels like a forced game. Your relationships feel like dialogues repeated endlessly. The life goals you once thought were important now sound hollow, like motivational slogans that have lost their soul. You see too much to live like everyone else. You start asking, what's the point of all this? A question you've avoided for so long because it was too big, too unsettling, or too honest. But that night, the question doesn't just pass by like the wind. It sits beside you, looks you straight in the eyes, demanding an answer. That maybe it's not you who's broken. Maybe you're simply becoming aware. And awareness doesn't come with soft music or golden light. It comes like a storm that blows open the windows you've kept shut for years. Strange, isn't it? It feels like you've lost something, even though you don't know what's missing. And even stranger, you feel like this isn't just sadness, or fatigue, or emptiness. There's something different, something deep, something that changes the way you see the world. As if you start noticing small cracks in everyday life. Cracks that make you realize you've been following something without ever truly knowing why. You see too much. And when you see too much, you can't pretend to be blind anymore. At moments like this, people usually have two reactions, both of them wrong. The first reaction is panic. You try to run from the feeling. You look for distractions, open your phone without purpose, scroll endlessly, try to entertain yourself with anything, food, noise, busyness. You force yourself to stay busy so you don't have to think. You make new to-do lists, new dreams, new big plans, even though you know they're just masks. You tell yourself, I need to find a new meaning. But deep down, you're just afraid of facing the emptiness. You're afraid to stare at it too long because you worry you'll get swallowed by it. The second reaction is the opposite, total surrender. You say, if nothing matters, then whatever. You become cynical, bitter, numb. You laugh at people chasing purpose, as if you know better. You become nihilistic, not because you truly understand nihilism, but because it feels like a more elegant escape. You bury your conscience under the attitude of, I don't care, even though you care more than anyone else. The problem is, both reactions lead nowhere. One runs from reality, the other is paralyzed by it. And if you're honest, you've probably been in one of these places. Maybe even jumping back and forth. Sometimes busy like someone trying to cover holes in a wall. Sometimes giving up like someone letting the wall crumble. You know what it's like to distract yourself with other people's drama, unnecessary overtime, impulsive shopping, or pretending to be productive. You also know what it's like to wake up and think, what's the point of all this? Both extremes exhaust you. Neither heals you, but there's a third path. A path rarely discussed because it's not heroic, not glamorous, and it can't be sold as instant motivation. This third path isn't about fixing your feelings, nor finding a new meaning, nor rebuilding an impressive life purpose. This path is about seeing that emptiness as a door, a gateway into a completely new way of perceiving life. You don't have to rush to close the emptiness. You don't need to patch it up. Emptiness creates space. Space to see what you've been missing. Space to feel the freedom you never had when you were busy chasing something. Maybe you didn't really lose meaning. Maybe the meanings you used simply don't fit anymore. Maybe they were never yours to begin with. And here's what's interesting. Most of the meanings you've carried all your life were never yours. You borrowed them. From family, from school, from culture, from religion, from media, from trends, from the expectations of people you don't even know. They gave you a script of what a good life should look like. And you followed it because it was safe, because everyone else was following it, because you didn't want to get lost. But that script isn't sacred. It's not cosmic law. It's just a story. A collective story society agrees on, so the world feels tidier, neater, more controllable. Work hard, earn money, build a family, achieve things, find meaning. And you follow this story like an actor who has taken the role too seriously. Until you forget you're acting. Until you forget the script can be rewritten. Until you forget you have a choice. When you start realizing that these meanings are just stories, of course, you feel empty. That's not regression. That's awakening. It's a sign you've stepped out of a long dream. It's a sign you're starting to see the cracks in the stage. And once you see them, you can't force yourself to believe fully in the same stage again. Emptiness is the space left behind after the old walls fall apart. It's not frightening. It's freedom being born. That emptiness gives you a chance to ask, if all meanings are just stories, then what story do I truly want to live? You're no longer bound to other people's definition of a good life. You no longer have to chase a success standard you never chose. You no longer have to play a role written by someone else. You're free to change how you play, free to change the role. You can even write your own script, but even on this path, there's a trap. A subtle one, the urge to create a grand life mission just to feel important again. You might say, if the old meaning doesn't work, I'll create a new spectacular one. But that's just replacing one game with another. You don't realize you're still trapped in the need to prove something. You still want the world to validate you. You still want to win. But true freedom isn't about creating a bigger meaning. True freedom is the ability to play without needing to win. At this point, you start to see something clearly. Life doesn't need a big point. Life doesn't need to be a journey toward one grand, noble purpose. Life doesn't need to be completed like a project. Life is more like music. You don't play music to reach the final note. You play because every note along the way is the point. No part of the music is more important than the rest. No one asks, when will the song end? They ask, is it beautiful? Life is the same. You don't dance to arrive somewhere. You dance because the movement itself is beautiful. You don't live to reach an ending. You live because the experience of living is itself an irreplaceable beauty. And when you see too much, when you notice the cracks others don't, when you see how fragile the meanings everyone assumes are absolute, you get the chance to live life like music, not like a project. You see too much to live like everyone else. That's not a curse, it's an invitation. Slowly, this perspective turns your heaviness into something lighter. You begin living more softly, more gently, more playfully. You work not because you must prove something, but because you want to express something. You love someone not because you want the ideal relationship standard, but because you simply enjoy their presence. You pursue dreams not out of fear of failure, but out of curiosity about how far you can grow. You can try without needing to succeed. You can fall without needing to feel ashamed. You can start again without needing a grand reason. You're allowed to change without explaining it to anyone. You can live without needing to understand everything. Then come the big questions that often haunt us. What about failure? What about death? What if no one remembers me? But from a wider perspective, failure is just part of the play. A song isn't ruined by one wrong note. A dance isn't meaningless because of one misstep. And regarding death, you begin to see that impermanence isn't the enemy. In fact, because everything is impermanent, everything becomes precious. A sunset is beautiful because it doesn't last. A flower blooms because one day it will wilt. Children laugh because one day they'll forget the sound of their own laughter. Waves rise and fall because they were never meant to stay still. And so is your life. Impermanence makes every moment worth experiencing, not owning. You don't have to immortalize everything. You just have to be present. And in the end, Life offers many answers through simple stories. There's a little tale you might have heard. One day, a student asked his teacher, "What is the meaning of life?" The teacher didn't answer with a long theory. He simply pointed to a cup of tea in front of him and said, "Feel the warmth, smell the aroma, then drink." The student was confused. But the teacher laughed and said, "The meaning of life isn't something you think about. It's something you do, something you live, something you experience." And maybe, without knowing it, the child you saw in the park, laughing as his soap bubble burst, understands life better than many adults who are busy searching for complicated answers. And now, we return to the question you asked at the beginning. What's the point of all this? After a long journey, the answer shifts. It's not about finding the point, not about creating a grand meaning, but about realizing you don't need to force life to have one big meaning. You only need to experience it. You only need to be here with yourself without unnecessary drama. You see too much to live like everyone else, and that is not a burden. It is freedom. In the end, life isn't waiting for your answer. Life is simply waiting for you to feel it again. And when you're ready, there's one sentence you can carry wherever you go. Life is not meant to be won. Life is meant to be lived. But perhaps the most beautiful part of awakening is what comes after the storm. It is that quiet moment when you begin to realize that life does not need to be conquered, solved, or mastered. Life is not an exam, nor is it a competition staged for you to prove your worth. Life is a moment-to-moment unfolding, like the gentle opening of a flower at dawn, unhurried, unapologetic, simply being. And when this understanding sinks deeper, something subtle yet profound changes within you. You no longer feel the pressure to constantly chase the future, nor the guilt of not living up to an imagined ideal. Instead, you begin to notice the small details you once walked past without seeing. The softness of sunlight on your skin, the quiet hum of the world waking up, the way your breath enters and leaves effortlessly, without demand or analysis. For the first time in many years, you feel what it's like to simply exist without trying to become. And this shift, though gentle, is nothing short of a rebirth. You start realizing that life becomes unbearable only when you clutch it too tightly. When you try to control every outcome, when you insist that things must go exactly the way you expect, suffering multiplies. But the moment you loosen your grip, even slightly, life begins to breathe again. And so do you. Think of a leaf floating on a river. It does not resist the current. It doesn't claim, "I must go left, I must go right, I must arrive somewhere by sunset." The leaf flows because the river flows. It moves because movement is the nature of water. In the same way, there is a current moving through your life. Sometimes fast, sometimes slow, sometimes chaotic, sometimes peaceful. But if you stop resisting and allow yourself to float with it, you will discover a kind of peace the mind could never manufacture. This is why people who awaken often feel misunderstood, not because they are superior, but because they stop struggling against the river while everyone else is still fighting the current. They see the futility of resisting what has already arrived. They see the exhaustion of trying to be someone the world expects. They see through the illusion that life must be continuously optimized, strategized, and measured. You see too much. And when you see too much, you cannot return to the same blindness. Yet this clarity is not a burden. It is the beginning of wisdom. As awareness deepens, you also start to see that your thoughts are not you. They are like clouds in the sky, appearing, changing shape, dissolving, carried by winds you do not control. You realize you are the sky, not the clouds. You are the awareness through which experiences pass, not the experiences themselves. When sadness arises, you see it as a visitor. When fear appears, you watch it softly. When joy comes, you welcome it without clinging. And slowly, you discover that peace was never about having only positive emotions. Peace is the gentle allowing of whatever arises without needing it to be different. This is the freedom people rarely talk about. The freedom to experience life without demanding that it feels a certain way. The freedom to let things be as they are. The freedom to let yourself be as you are. Most people live trapped in the idea that they must become something before they can finally feel at home in their own skin. But awakening shows you that you are already complete. Not perfect, complete. There is nothing missing except your own permission to inhabit yourself fully. You begin to understand that the universe has never judged you. The trees do not expect you to be more successful. The moon does not require you to be happier. The wind does not ask you to accomplish anything. Only human society asks these things, and often even society doesn't know why. But nature simply invites you to exist, to breathe, to be. The moment you realize this, life becomes softer, not easier, but softer. The sharp edges of existence do not disappear, but you stop cutting yourself on them. You begin to hold the world, not with fear or force, but with a kind of tenderness, a recognition that everything is temporary and therefore precious. You start seeing beauty in places you never noticed before, in the pause between breaths, in the quiet moments between conversations, in the laughter that erupts unexpectedly, in the tired but genuine smile at the end of a long day. You begin to see that the ordinary is not ordinary at all. It is miraculous simply because it exists. And then something even more beautiful happens. You stop trying to control other people. You no longer need them to behave a certain way to validate your path. You no longer desire to change them so you can feel safe or right. You allow them to be like weather, sometimes sunny, sometimes stormy, sometimes unpredictable. And in allowing others to be themselves, you unconsciously give yourself the same permission. This is why awakening often feels like loneliness at first. When old identities dissolve, when old meanings crumble, you feel like you're standing in an open field with nothing familiar to hold on to. But as time passes, you start to realize that this open field is not emptiness, it's spaciousness, it's possibility, it's freedom. The loneliness fades because you're no longer seeking yourself through the eyes of others. You no longer need external validation to feel real. You no longer fear being misunderstood. Instead, you settle quietly into your own being. And when you settle into yourself, you begin to see life differently. You begin to see that joy doesn't come from achievement, but from engagement. Not from possession, but from presence. Not from chasing more, but from appreciating what already is. You also begin to realize that every person you meet is carrying their own invisible universe. Their own fears, longings, regrets, and dreams. You stop taking things personally because you know everyone is acting from the lens of their own internal story. Compassion becomes your natural response. Not because you're trying to be good, but because you understand. Truly understand. And perhaps the greatest transformation is this. You stop looking for the meaning of life and start creating meaning through the way you live. Through the way you walk, speak, love, listen, rest, breathe. Meaning becomes less of a concept and more of a quality of presence. Your life itself becomes the answer. Not in words, but in the quiet radiance of being fully here, fully alive, fully awake. So when you finally return to that question, what's the point of all this? You no longer expect a philosophical solution. You simply smile because the answer is already flowing through your experience. The point is to live, to feel, to wake up, to participate in the great dance of existence without needing to control the rhythm. You see too much to live like everyone else. You see too much to keep pretending. And now you see enough to start living freely.